Hi everybody, welcome to Anatomy and Physiology 1. Of course, this will be all online, so many of our interactions will be through this video format. Some that I pre-record and upload to a platform like YouTube, and some of these videos will be interactions between us on a platform like Zoom. So many of you are probably familiar with Zoom, at least through the media, and I'm sure you're aware that it's a popular platform for connecting students and their teachers. So we'll be using both YouTube videos and some Zoom for me to be able to communicate with you. Let's get into some of the finer details of this course. The first of which I'm sure you're very interested in, which is how is this course going to be graded? So there are two components to this course, and I'm sure you're aware that you signed up for both a lecture and a lab. So the lecture and the lab portion both are going to play into the calculation of your final grade for the course. So you will have a lecture grade, you will have a lab grade, but those are used in combination to determine your final grade for Anatomy and Physiology 1. So after the semester is over, or after this summer term is over, you will have one grade. And that one grade is going to come, 70% of that grade is going to come from your lecture, and 30% of the grade is going to come from lab. So lecture counts a great deal more toward your final average calculation than lab does, but lab is also a significant chunk. And in breaking down the lecture grade, how we arrive at that lecture grade, 90% of that grade comes from your exam average. So throughout this term, you will take 4 exams, and your average of those exams is going to count for 90% of your lecture grade. The other 10% of your lecture grade is going to come from homework assignments that I'll assign, as well as your participation in a weekly discussion board. So what the homework is, I'll describe how you access that later, but this homework is mainly assigned to help you keep up with the reading and to give you an idea of the sorts of questions that you'll see on an exam. So it's not designed to be the homework is not designed to be a primary way that you are graded. It's designed to be a practice tool for you to prepare yourself for exams. And same with discussions, except that in the discussions, it's going to be more of an interactive, a chance for us to interact and kind of spitball ideas about a subject that we go over in our lecture. So I think you'll really enjoy the discussion part. We had a lot of cool interactions in the discussion last semester. Now, the 30% of your grade that comes from lab is going to be calculated primarily. 90% of that lab grade is going to come from a weekly lab quiz. So for every week, you'll have 2 lab modules, which are going to be 2 sections from your lab book that describe experiments and activities that we would normally be doing in a wet lab where we're doing dissections and things like that. We're going to compensate for not being able to be in the lab by having you watch videos of things like dissections, or doing interactive activities. So we're gonna try and best approximate a lab experience that we can. But there will be weekly quizzes after the week after a particular lab exercise. You will be quizzed over the information from that exercise. So starting next week will be your first lab quiz. And there will be homework that you can work on as you're going through the lab activities. So each lab activity is going to require some reading from the paper copy of the lab book that hopefully you've already purchased. But so you're going to do some homework alongside your reading, and then again, the following week, there will be a quiz on that information. So 90% quizzes, 10% homework, kind of mirroring what you see in the lecture, except that, again, lecture accounts for much more of your final grade calculation. So the other important thing that I want to get across to you in this introductory video are the very important online spaces that we are going to be working with and utilizing in the progression of this course. So the first of these you probably already have plenty of experience with. Hopefully you're already familiar with kind of the Blackboard D2L system, and we have Momentum. Hi, Winnie. Winnie, can you wave to my class? Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, sorry about that interruption. I'm sure some of you can relate. So getting back to our important places, we have Momentum. So this is kind of the course main page, and this is where you'll be taking your exams for lecture and your quizzes for lab. And this is also going to be the primary spot where we interact with one another, at least outside of Zoom. So I'll be posting announcements here, and you'll find course materials here. So many announcements I'll actually send emails directly to you, and this will usually be through your Momentum email. There will be kind of a news section where I keep a running list of important links and things like that. So be sure to look at the main page and look for news to see new links and things like that. I'll be posting lots of course materials. So if you look at Momentum under course materials or documents, let me check that real quick. Yeah, so if you go to course materials on Momentum, you'll see course content tab, and that course content tab is where the vast majority of the material that I upload for you, so PowerPoints, study guides I'll upload, worksheets sometimes. The course materials will contain a lot of the information that I'm giving you to help with your studies, primarily. That'll also be, in the course materials is where you can find things like schedules and syllabi, which will be posted soon. So the other component aside from Momentum that's going to be really important is Pearson Mastering. So it's actually, the long name is Mastering Anatomy and Physiology. And so as the name implies, this is going to be kind of a platform that's designed to help you master the content. So Pearson is the company that publishes the book that we use. And they're the ones who designed this Mastering Anatomy and Physiology web platform. So through this platform, you can access the e-text or the online digital version of your textbook that you all should have access to. Now, I have instructions for registering for Pearson's Mastering platform that I've already posted in the course content section on Momentum. So if you go to course materials and course content on Momentum, you'll see instructions for registering for Pearson Mastering. So again, on here you'll have your e-text, you have a study area where the publisher has lots of practice quizzes and animations that you can watch, and just different study materials that are going to help you with the material. Also, I have assigned homework, and I've also assigned readings. So on Pearson Mastering, that's going to be where you do the majority of your homework for lecture and for lab. You're going to have lots of lab activities and homework, and you're going to have lots of, well, not too much, not lots of, but this is just where your homework is going to be, basically, is on Pearson Mastering. So momentum for kind of communication with me and taking exam and quizzes. And then Pearson Mastering is going to be where you do your homework and where you do your studying probably a lot of the time. If you haven't bought a physical version of the book, like a paper copy of the book, you'll be able to use this e-text to get your reading accomplished. And so again, on Pearson Mastering, there's a calendar that you can access that shows you all of your assignments. And I've already assigned reading assignments. So those reading assignments are just for you to know exactly what content we're covering and when. If you don't happen to read by the particular date that it's been assigned, that's not going to count against you. That's just to try and help you keep up with the reading, or those reading assignments. But the homework assignments, where you actually solve problems and answer questions, that's going to be where that 10% homework for lab and lecture comes from, is the homework on Pearson Mastering. So again, these two platforms are going to be the bulk of where we spend our time in this class. And finally, the last way that we're going to be interacting is in face-to-face is going to be through Zoom meetings. So our first Zoom meeting, which it'll kind of vary week by week what the focus of our Zoom meetings will be. Some of these will be lecture style, some of them will be question and answer, and some of them will be kind of extensions of our discussion board. So we're going to have a Zoom meeting this Tuesday at 10 a.m. and I'll provide a link that I'll post to Momentum tomorrow. So Monday is when you should be getting the link for this Zoom meeting. And you'll just have to log in and click that link Tuesday by 10 a.m. to participate in that Zoom meeting. Now, one important thing about Zoom meetings, I am not going to take attendance. So if you're unable to meet up on Zoom, it's something I strongly encourage, would be participating in Zoom meetings. And I don't want to, discourage anybody from attending. But what I will say is that these are not mandatory, but they are highly, highly encouraged. And I think that people who participate in the Zoom meetings will be at a great advantage because you'll be able to have firsthand experience talking about these things that we're going over in class. And you'll be able to ask me questions in real time. If something doesn't make sense when we're going over it, you can stop me and say, Dr. Noto, what's going on here? So highly encourage participating in Zoom meetings, and the first of which, this will be this Tuesday at 10 a.m. So we'll be going over kind of any questions that you have about this kind of video syllabus that I've just presented. And also we'll go ahead and dive into some of the content on Tuesday. So thanks for watching this video, and I'm really excited to meet you all and to get this semester off to a good start.